everybody, and welcome back to the Geek Authority. We're starting a brand new show here. It's called Talk About. And what we're going to do, the format is basically we're going to talk about various subjects, TV shows, movies, films, directors, writers, whatever, and find people who have mutual interest in things. And we're going to start the very first episode with a TV series I loved as a kid when I was growing up in 1975. Through 1977, only ran 2 seasons. Came from the British England, not the BBC. It was actually independently produced by ITC and distributed through ITC here in America on various stations. It's called Space 1999 and starred Barbara Bain, Martin Landau, Barry Morris in the first season, and then they added Catherine Schell and took out Barry Morris from the first season for the second season. And with me today, we have fellow fans. So why doesn't everybody introduce themselves and how they got introduced to Space 1999? Redetha?
You guys want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Redetha, you go first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Redetha Deason, and I grew up watching Space 1999 with my mom. So I've known about it since I was a kid, and I loved it.
So you saw it when it first aired?
I did. Yeah.
Wow. Now I don't, well, I feel old because I do remember watching each episode for the first time. So, in fact, I believe I recorded cassette tapes of the episode.
Oh, wow.
Video. And I would listen to the audio, and I know the music cues, I know the dialogue. So, okay, I'm a nerd, I admit it. You guys, CJ, Jeff?
I'm CJ, and I also grew up watching it. I don't remember the first time I saw every single episode, but I do remember watching that and Battlestar Galactica and what was the other one?
Buck Rogers.
Yep, Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
They all kind of merged together.
Very cool.
My childhood brain.
My name's Jeff, and I remember watching. I was in Texas, and I don't know if this was just part of how they did it, but each of those 3 shows that CJ just said, I watched 2, but for some reason I saw them in the movies. When we used to go, I guess you would call them creature features. Yeah, they would always play in the afternoon, and it was almost like they played the pilot, an extended version of the pilot, and then months later, the actual show came out. And I remember watching this show this way, and Buck Rogers, and Battlestar Galactica.
Well, based on what you said, ITC did once the series was over in 77, they did what they call packaging, and they made 3 movies. The one you're talking about was they put Breakaway and Dragon's Domain together and made it a feature-length kind of film called a Destination Alpha. And that was used to promote the series for markets that didn't have the series. And so that was the kind of supposed to hook them, and then they'd run the regular episodes. The other thing you got to remember, too, is it was produced in England for Americans. It didn't do that great in Europe, but it did really well here. That is until the second season when they brought in Fred Freiberger as a producer. If that name rings a bell to anybody, he was the 3rd season producer of the original Star Trek series, which is why it was canceled. Because Star Trek 3rd season has things like Spock's brain and all kinds of really silly and stupid episodes. There are a few nice ones and good stories in it, but he's been known to every series he's touched as he came in as a producer, it kind of collapsed. He did Man from Atlantis, he did Space 1999, he did Star Trek. Everything he touched when he was brought on kind of got canceled. So he comes with a curse. But we'll talk about the season differences. What I'd like to know is, when you watched it, did it make you feel like the future? I mean, if you're looking at the screen, like when you watch Star Trek, you see the little candy buttons. But you look at Space 1999, they've got real live monitors, albeit they were black and white then because they didn't have the color technology. But the controls, the whole, if you remember the 60 lamps, those lamps, how did it look to you?
I mean, it is a little dated, but it also.
But then, when you saw it then.
No, when I saw it then,
Yeah.
I mean, that was the height of technology, far as I was concerned. I mean, that was it. I mean, CJ actually pointed out an episode we were watching today. She pointed out that she goes, "When's the last time you actually seen someone using an actual typewriter, and why would they use it then?" And it was
But you
like,
know, when we're kids, we don't.
yeah, you don't make that connection.
Yeah.
Right.
People do use typewriters. Maybe Dr. Russell is, you know.
Very.
Yeah.
What about you, Redetha? What did you think? How did it look when you first saw it?
Yeah, I thought it looked very futuristic, and I loved it felt more real to me. Like it felt like an actual command center, and these people were really doing their jobs versus, I mean, Star Trek felt more theatrical to me. Like
Yes.
it felt more like a set, where this felt more like the real thing.
And think about it. It was produced in the 70s, projecting to the 1990s, whereas Star Trek was 60s, projecting to the year 2344. So,
Yeah.
who knows what the technology will be. But for me, it felt real. It felt, I believe that everything that was happening didn't break my wall of disbelief. Whereas in Star Trek, you can see the rocks bounce. You can see all that kind of thing.
Well, the first episode, and the very first episode, when remember that the guy's helmet went up?
Oh yeah,
The visor went up, and he shut it down real quick.
He's
and
doing
they
the
hit it
moonwalk. You
out.
can actually see his visor, which
They were
is
like fighting when they
keeping
were
him alive,
fighting or
going-
something, and it just went. I went, oh my god! I know.
Yeah, of course.
And I look for these things, but I was like, oh my god, there was a total blooper on the very first episode. I think he's toast, but nope, the other guy.
Yeah. And you got to realize, at the time this was produced, it was the most expensive television series made. It had Brian Johnson from 2001 doing the special effects, who went on to do the Star Wars films. So the detail of the eagles, the moon base, everything was practical. No CG anywhere. Those were real models, real dust. I don't know if you remember the landing pads when the eagles land off. That was a 6-foot landing pad with an elevator that would lower and rise them, and they spent a lot of money on that
And
ship.
that was before Star Wars.
Yeah.
Before
Brian went on to do Star Wars after this, and of course we know the TIE fighter fights and all that. That's what he did. So.
What I thought was interesting was the details in the quarters, like the private areas where they live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to know?
They don't do that very often, but when they did, it was just. It didn't look like, oh, we just slapped it together for this one.
Right, and it just.
It was still, and they were spacious. I mean,
They were. Well, they had more land, I guess.
well,
Yeah, it's the moon. But just so you know, in terms of the design of the sets, they were all modular. Those walls could slide in and out to make a configuration like Legos. Now, the other thing they thought of that was very clever is, if you notice in the personal rooms, the color changed. There were oranges or yellows or whatever, and all that was a light behind the walls. Put a filter on it, and you could make a computer room, a private room, a lab, whatever. And just all you do is change the lighting, and that was one of the things that they saved money on. Okay, let's talk about something here. I'm going to put up something.
that's a good point, because that's probably how an actual moon base would be constructed. Would be using
Exactly.
modules to, and then you just tweak it.
Okay, can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this. We can talk about it as it's running. What'd you think of those titles?
They're fantastic.
Fun, and it really does sort of put you in the frame of mind of what you're about to see.
Right, and that's what I liked. It teased you with visuals. It wasn't like the second season. The second season to me was like the monster of the week, story-wise. And I think they really focused on the characters and the drama in the first season. And I like Barry Morris. He was a great scientist. One of my favorite episodes called Black Sun, where back then it was called Black Suns, ended up being black holes. And that episode involved them going through it, and the demise of what they thought would be the demise of Moonbase Alpha turned out to be someone, spatial whatever entity helping them, further their adventure kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that the storylines were better in the first season, but my heart has a special place for the second season because of Maya primarily.
Yeah. I think it's a difference. It's like it almost the first season was very almost Shakespearean in a way, where they were basically more an action oriented.
Definitely.
And that's what they went for. If you notice, the music changed, they got color. They got rid of main mission and went to command center, and got they went from a huge operation center to a closet. Literally walking through the computers like this, and I'm like, really? The money went to the monsters, which were hysterical in some cases.
They were.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the cast. Okay, what do you think of Martin Landau and Barbara Bain?
Love.
Well, anything Martin Landau does, I mean,
True.
it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, they and aren't they married?
They were.
They were.
They were then.
And they really did sort of have that chemistry together.
Yeah, they really did. And they worked so well together. They were so believable, both of them, in those roles.
Okay, ladies, what did you think of the costumes? Uh-oh.
I felt they worked. They added to the believability.
They did, because they weren't super flashy.
Well, how do you feel the fact
because they were more practical. They were, and they still had the color coding so that for command was one color and.
right on the sleeve, yeah.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about the second season? They went to skirts and dresses for the women.
Yeah, I didn't like that as much. But I did like some of the color choices that they went with in the second season.
There's Barry Morse. The gentleman on the right, I forget his name, went on to do Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. And it's interesting because he was supposedly the guy who was in charge of the whole space program, but he was only in the first episode, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And they made
he was in 2.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, it's an episode called Earthbound with special guest star Christopher Lee as the alien, and basically, what's that?
We haven't gotten to that in our rewatch.
Okay, you're rewatching.
When his makeup is fantastic in that Christopher Lee's.
I was talking about the lighting. See how they just changed the filters?
Oh yeah.
Everything was modular. The sets, the control rooms, the chairs. If you see the chair in the background, it was on rollers.
Yeah.
The composts were also on rollers, except you couldn't see the feet because they put that cover on the base. Those things could move around.
Wow.
I definitely love Prentice Hancock. He played Paul.
He was great.
It was the original love interest for Sandra, but made it to the second season. He didn't. There's your keyboard. Great episode. Another Time, Another Place. I don't know. Did you guys see that one?
I didn't get to that one.
Okay, this is where they duplicate. There's 2 Koenigs. There's 2 Helenas. There's 2 of everybody.
Oh wow.
There's Christopher Lee.
He looked fantastic. Oh my god.
That is awesome.
Oh yeah, Brian Blessed.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
He's
know?
really good.
Where do we know Brian from? Does anybody know?
Well, he's in Flash Gordon.
True.
I know
Yep.
he's there. He's like,
How can you tie him to Star Wars?
what's that?
How can you tie him to Star Wars?
I don't know.
Yeah,
He was Boss Nass in the Phantom Menace.
Oh wow.
You know the
Oh, really?
It was him. Okay, and apparently you guys don't know this. He also plays Maya's father, mentor, in the pilot. Not the pilot, in the first episode of the
The
second.
Metamorph.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah.
How did I not realize that he played that? Huh.
Okay.
It looked totally different.
Ladies, how about the dress? Would you go out wearing that thing?
Sure.
We gotta know.
Okay.
I think she looks great in it. I love it.
Yeah.
She wears it well.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in second season. Notice the color. Everything's popping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They added badges. They didn't have badges before.
that's right.
And she's wearing a skirt, by the way. That's a skirt with these knee-high boots.
Oh, wow.
And notice the collars. They got a little thicker, and in her case, it looks like a full neck thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like a turtleneck.
Uh-oh.
Ha, ha, ha.
Girl power.
Yeah.
This was New Adam, New Eve. Was that the episode?
Very good. Very good. Yeah, and they added jackets. Everybody started wearing jackets in the second season.
It's cold in space.
Exactly.
Took a season to figure that out.
Okay. Did you see the
Oh,
episode yet?
no.
Maya gets trapped on the Eagle, and she's kind of like trapped because of the seat envelops her. So what she does is becomes a mini her and squeezes out of the seat. So those are the
actresses.
actresses.
They're adorable. Oh my god.
And by the way, do you know those are Rice Krispies for eyebrows?
I did not know that.
They're painted. They spray painted them and then glued them on. If you look at her face.
Wow.
Yes, both Martin and Barbara were heavy smokers.
Oh, really?
Yep, chain smokers. And that's it for that. Okay. Who's
Great.
to show off? Let's jump to some of that. I've got.
Who has stuff to show off? Oh, I do.
Yeah. All right. Let me show us what you got.
Well, I guess first I'll show you my T-shirt.
Uh-oh.
Which is Give Yourself Up.
Hey, it matches my hat. Yay.
It does, yeah. I had this one made, and I also have one that has an eagle on it. And I wore both of these shirts when I did a production called Geeks the Musical, probably like 8 years ago.
And do you have it on video so we can all watch?
Yeah, somewhere.
I really want to see that. Tom keeps talking about it. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'll send you guys the link for sure. But
Okay.
I also have
Uh-oh.
a lunchbox.
Oh.
Someone gave me fairly recently. I haven't had it since I was a kid. But yeah.
Does it come with the thermos?
It does not have the thermos.
Oh, okay.
No,
Those were the big back then.
Oh yeah.
Is that the monster that ate everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
From, what episode was that? The
Dragon's Domain.
Dragon's Domain. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the
Yum, yum.
hypnotizes him, eats them.
And then spits them out like the carcass, like an owl. Like
Yeah.
With the,
So
What about
fast.
you,
It, like stripped the body and then sent the carcass back
Yeah.
out. It's crazy.
Uh-oh.
Actually, the writer of Geeks the Musical, Tom Mizraka, he gave me this. It's a comic book.
Ah! Wow.
So cool. And this, I think, it has a similar storyline to that Dragon's Domain
Very cool.
episode. And then last, I have a signed picture.
Oh.
He was at Monster Palooza several years ago. And so I went and got a signed.
Very
Okay.
cool.
And that's it.
That's it? Jeff, CJ, what you got?
Nothing cool. Nothing
Nothing.
cool to show you.
Nothing. Oh. Okay. Shall I go? I got a few things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
What you got?
What should I start with? How about this? I actually made this.
Ah,
This is an AMT model that came out literally when the show did. It's, I don't know, 60 odd pieces, hand painted, the whole bit. The cargo section, like in the series.
oh my
it comes
gosh.
out. That's fantastic.
Wow.
You know.
So it's kind of delicate. I had to glue a piece on because it's that old.
Passengers just show off. You can leave them behind.
In the back, with the little engines.
I think that's what they did. Somebody, in one of the episodes, they left Koenig behind in the
Yeah.
We just watched
Yeah.
the one.
Oh, you did?
Okay, how about this? She's got.
Oh.
There's about 7 or 8 of these. I only pulled out 3, but these are actual novelizations. They're all original. They didn't do the episodes, but somebody took on the characters and put them in first season stories. I say first season. No. This came out December last year from the Gary Anderson Company. They're in Europe,
Oh, wow.
and it's an actual calendar for 2020.
That is great.
And of course,
You
every
can't
month,
hear, but
every month has a. I don't know how well you can see it.
yeah.
An image. That one's not so great.
Oh, that's David Prowse played that one, right?
Yes, very good. Second season.
Yeah.
That's Maya.
It's Beta Cloud is the episode.
Yep. And Helena, can you see it? Am I in focus?
No.
Yeah, I can see Helena.
Okay.
A bit of a glare, but
And then we have this was oh my God.
the Arc one, the Darians.
Mission of the Darians.
Yeah.
Mission of the Darians with Joan Collins as
Oh,
special.
that's right.
Really?
Joan Collins.
She did amazing.
One of my favorite things is always to see the Eagles take off and land and crash. Apparently they had an Eagle factory there because they crashed, 2 or 3
Just
an episode.
They just like this eagle. They just toss them out. Hey, send an
Well-
unmanned eagle out as a probe.
It's like the
I
Eagles
thought the same
are
thing.
their version of the red shirts.
Ah.
One is dying each episode.
Oh,
Yep.
Dragon's
exactly.
Domain. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great.
And the bottom of each calendar has a little image. It's not that great, but I'm not impressed with the quality of this because there's some images I wouldn't have chosen, but whatever. Here they took all the models of the spaceships. You can see.
That's
It's like
cool.
the graveyard.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Moonbase Alpha. And way in the back up here, if you can see it, is the Mission of the Darians big mothership.
Yeah.
I'll just go quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying to. I figure if I can see him, you can see him. Okay, and then November is Martin, and then Martin on the floor in Metamorph, and then Martin on the floor again in the Rose of Luton. He does a lot of laying down in this series. And then, of course, the back cover shows all the images. So that's the calendar I have. I'm a big.
Coincidentally, that is my favorite episode. The Rule.
What's that?
Rule of Luton.
Okay, we'll get to our favorite episodes.
Okay.
I'm a big prop collector, so clearly I wanted to show off my stun gun, which has the stun and kill settings, the triggers on top. The barrels do basically nothing. Everything else was animated for the visuals. And of course, who can not have a combo?
So fantastic.
With me in uniform as a alpha member. So each one is personalized for every alphan, so everyone had one. And knew
I read a bit of trivia about that they
What?
were actual TVs, little mini TVs. That they
Actually, let me tell you how that worked. Most of the props that they wore were actually just the plastic props that they have, and they could throw around, and if they broke, they were easy to fix. There were only 2 that had a 17-foot cable at the base. The cable would run from here, and there was an actual, I think it was an 1.5-inch monitor, black and white monitor. There was only 2 of them, and the trick was they had to shoot them. In fact, if you see the pilot episode, Helena answers the door where Commander Koenig appears on here, and then they drop it, and you see him in the doorway. Well, unbeknownst to you guys, is the cable was running down what's her name, Barbara Bain's outfit. So hide the fact that there's a man behind her with a camera pointing at the door, so that image would show up in here. And they had to shoot 32 frames a second because everything would roll if they didn't. The film sync. So it was really at the time, pretty good technology, but they only had 2 and they were only used very sparingly, which I think I have some images to show you how they used them. The other thing I have is actual board game, which is from 1975, I believe, and it's basically kind of reminds me of Sorry.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You pick a color. There's 4 colors, and the object is if you're red, you have to go to the red dot. If you're yellow, you have to go to the yellow dot, and vice versa, blue and green. But in the process, your teammates, your fellow players, are turning as you're going across. Very, very difficult for you to get to your mission. And of course, it comes with dice, and there's little tiny eagles. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, that's great.
So it's fun. It's fun. It's kind of a simple.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And yeah, you can tell I'm a big fan. And then if you guys don't have this, it just came out last year around late October, I think around Halloween. But this is the new Blu-ray set. It's got first and second seasons, bonus disc filled with behind-the-scenes news interviews, promos, discussions of Gary and Sylvia Anderson on the process of casting this show, and then having to do the pilot twice because they weren't happy with the script and do the rewrite for the pilot episode Breakaway, as well as what it was like working with Martin and Barbara. Apparently it wasn't fun. So we'll leave it at that. Barbara's still with us. Martin has since passed away. Barry Morris has passed away. Recently,
Tony
Jones. What's that?
Tony.
Tony Anholt.
Anholt, yeah.
Anholt. Yeah, he had a brain hemorrhage, I believe.
Oh gosh.
He was like 40-something when he passed. So, but anyway, okay. So let's jump to these pictures and tell me if you remember any of these. I have them. They're in storage. I did bring them out. You guys remember these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw those. They're
Oh
great.
no.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 problems. What is Helena wearing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the colors got reversed.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
when did she go orange?
I mean, maybe it's the orange
Victor.
And
space.
Victor
I don't
looked
know.
like his, or oh well.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Definitely not true to the series.
But notice the artwork too in the packaging. See, the artwork reflects it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe they made a mistake and said, "Oops, let's not change the doll. Let's just change the artwork."
Probably.
The newer series did come out looking like these. That's Paul Morrow.
Wow.
Oh man, look at the flare on those pants.
Yeah.
Hey, they were bell bottoms. There he is out of the package.
Wow. It looks like him. The face does.
Now, these guys came with a play set called the Command Center, and it was kind of silly because it only had 2 chairs and the walls were all the same on every panel. So it was like, okay. I had a pair of these.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I would have
Those
loved
are
those.
Oh,
Those are
yeah.
actual walkie-talkies.
Really?
Yep. And they did the beep like the show, and they had an alarm button, and you can do 2-way talking with everybody. Didn't have a lot of range, but remember, it's 1975.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the toys. Let's jump to...
I'm jealous. I like the walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there's a sample of one of the black and white monitors that was shot at a different film ratio so they could catch the live action. The comm locks.
Okay.
The actual blueprints from the series to scale.
It's great.
It's an actual prop. Someone took a photo. When I met Martin, he told me the one thing he took away from the set, from the second season, that apparently they did a little adapting, was his comm lock. So I wonder who got it after he passed.
Yeah. His daughters.
There she is.
Mm.
Now, the funny thing is, when it came to the effects, they were obviously animated. And sometimes when they fired him, it would be one beam. Other times it would be 4 beams. Other times it would be this kind of wobbly thing. And it's like, what's wrong with your gun? Oh, there you go, Redetha.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the one on the left is the one with the camera attached to it. And the one on the right is what they call a hero prop.
Wow.
So they only had 2 of the camera ones. And there's it in action.
It looked really good.
See the cable running down the side of the rock. There it is in its little hub on, I forget whose desk that is. I think that's Victor Bergman's. Alpha Child is the episode.
All right.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Julian Glover.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good, wasn't it? So, okay, Desolate Dominion with Brian Blessed. Anything else for you two, or?
That's my favorite one so far. There's
Okay.
so many that I think what I've done is mixed together episodes, so I don't want to say anything until I've actually gone through them. But
Okay.
since we were watching it, that one's been my favorite.
I think Redetha's is New Adam, New Eve.
I do like that one, and that one really stuck out in my mind, but my favorite is The Rule of Luton.
Rule of Lutons, yes. Plants rule.
Oh, is that
Yes.
the one with? Oh, okay. Oh,
Yes,
that's-
Maya and Koenig.
The
They're
sentient-
pretty aggressive plants.
They really are. Yeah, they pick a flower and they eat a grape or something, and they're
I
Go on trial.
Is that enough that you have to worry about animals? You know, but to have your own vegetation attack you.
Oh,
and that they
funny.
have feelings. And at the very end of the episode, the plants are turning on the judges.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
the second season, right?
Yeah, that's second season.
Yeah, second season. Any others, Redetha?
Oh yeah, 'cause it was in it, so it had to be second season.
Yeah, exactly. I also liked the Metamorph, the one where Maya's introduced. Alpha Child. It was
First season.
disturbing and interesting, and yeah.
Creepy, yes.
Yeah, totally
It's
creepy.
creepy when the woman who was the mom turns out to be the love interest. I'm like, okay, that's just wrong in so many ways.
Well, the concept was every elfin was going to lose their body to one of the aliens. So,
So I thought it was neat at the end that they reverted back to the mother and child.
right.
Yeah.
Had to. They
I
were
thought they were gone. I thought they were goners. I was like, oh well.
Yeah.
Well, look, be it.
okay. Any others, Redetha?
And the other one that I liked was Wargames.
Loved War
Oh,
Games.
Oh yeah.
War Games.
Loved War Games. You remember the story?
Yeah, that I mean, basically Koenig sort of strikes first and then sets off this chain of events.
But it was all in
And
his
it turns
head.
out to be a big test. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
His fear turning against him. His own emotions, and they were
Yeah.
just setting it up in his, what he was feeling.
Right.
But they kept saying fear doesn't belong. Like I can't remember exactly. Say that we have no fear. Fear doesn't belong on this planet, or something like that.
Yeah. And they destroy Alpha. Literally destroy it.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
Anything else? Any others?
No favorites, but I would say the one that I liked the least was
Uh-oh.
Brian Brain.
That's
It's the one where this entity comes to Alpha, and he's from Earth, but he turns out to be a computer that moves around, like this giant square computer. But he has the voice of a human and like feelings of human feelings.
yeah, and he's trying to take over Alpha's life support system for him to go on and do his thing, and it was a little comical in terms of the logistics of this thing moving around and getting through Alpha, and he even makes fun of himself a lot until you realize he's got a really demonic mission or whatever. I got to tell you a couple of my favorites. Most of them are in the first season, and I got to say the one that stands out the most for me, as far as being favorite, is called The Last Sunset. And the moon's mission is to find another planet. They find this planet. The other planet is listening to their communications, realizes, we don't want the Alphans. We saw your history. We've been watching you. So we're going to give you an atmosphere. And they put air on the moon. And they actually go out into what is the moon's atmosphere and blah, blah, blah. They develop rain and all this other stuff. And basically the story is, even though this planet gave them everything they wanted, their own life support system, the air and the water and all that, they still were going to go to this other planet. And that's when that planet took everything away and the atmosphere disappears. And you literally see the sunset, the golden sunset from as the atmosphere dissipates. That's probably my favorite. Next to Breakaway. I think the pilot episode sold the whole concept tremendously.
Sure, it was a good pilot. We were talking about that when we were rewatching it, that, but some things might be dated. The stories are all, in the first season anyway, are pretty solid.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, back then in the 70s, we were worried about nuclear waste, the Cold War, and everything was nuclear. So in their universe, whatever you want to call it, they disposed of nuclear waste on the moon. And as usual, as mankind doesn't think of the consequences when you start stacking nuclear waste on top of each other and, theorize what could happen and jettisons the moon out of Earth. So I thought that was a great story. Another one is the one that a lot of people talk about, Dragon's Domain, which is basically it's an alien, meaning the movie Alien, but in the Space 1999 universe, a psychopathic octopus, whatever it was, with one eye. And I remember that episode scaring me, watching it.
It was disturbing. We just watched that tonight. I was like, oh man, I didn't like it how Tony he got redeemed, but he got eaten. I was like, and that made me sad. I was like, oh,
And what a story! They take you to Earth. They kind of retro
That's what I loved about it. Is good the flashback to Earth and seeing them before the moon.
Yeah, before Commander Koenig was commander, and
how he lost his position. Why he was on Earth and the beginning of the series, why he was going back. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh, so this kind of gives him some of his backstory too. It's not just Tony's.
Right, and I think my next favorite is A Testament of Arcadia. Now, it was the last episode of the first season, and they didn't know if they were coming back at all at that point, which is another reason why the sets had changed a lot. A lot of them got destroyed or stowed away until the production designer came in. But it's the story of the moon stopping. For some reason, it stops on this planet, and they go down to it, and they find these writings and old skeletons, and it turns out these people were, how do I say this, the source of Earth. Like, we came from wherever they came from.
Oh.
And these two people, two Alphans, a male and a female, are fighting to research this and stay or whatever. And the moment they decide to stay and threaten Alpha if they don't get to stay, the moon continues on. They stay there. They're going to repopulate the planet. But it's basically the seeds of mankind in space. And I love that story. And the music, too. John Barry's score for that. By the way, we haven't talked about John Barry. He did the original theme. Gary Anderson, Sylvia Anderson asked him to come up with some sort of robust theme to it, but make it likable to the Americans. So his twist was he did the orchestral bang to it, but the guitar, the electric guitar with the theme is because I guess we're all rock heads in the 70s. But it's still my favorite as opposed to Derek Medding's second season version. What do you think of the second season?
I like it, but the first one is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, that's what really kind of sets it up, is like it's different because it has more of an action. There's more action,
Right. It also teases you with the story, which the second season doesn't do anymore.
Yeah.
You know, when you're watching it, I could watch the titles and go, "Oh, I know what this one is," as opposed to, I'm not one to ask because I can hear the first couple notes of an episode and tell you which one it is. So that's how much I watch it. Any other feedback in terms of the production value or the writing?
Well, it's interesting, and the other thing about the first season is I always felt like the odds are stacked against them. Every time there's a danger, they have to send the Eagles up. It seems to be their only defensive or offensive thing that they could do, period. Whereas,
They did have lasers. Remember the laser cannons?
yeah, but this kind of showed up like really later. It seemed like the first half dozen or of them, it was just like, oh, there's a danger, send the eagle up. One of the eagles gets destroyed. Retreat.
Didn't they use the laser cannons in Wargames?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they mentioned it at least. They said something
Okay,
about it.
I must have completely missed it then
Because I remember going, oh, they have laser cannons. So I guess nobody's threatened them before. They haven't brought them out. I mean, yeah, that was the first time that they really were under attack.
Okay, I'll have to watch that again.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the other time...
Well, did you catch the episode, The Last Enemy? That was a really good story for me because basically the moon is traveling and there's a sun and then two planets on either side of the sun. They can't
Yes.
get together. And the moon becomes basically a base for everybody to attack the other planet.
Yeah, because the planets can't actually see each other.
Right, line of sight.
The sun is in the middle, so they use the moon to get at each other, to get around the sun.
And they used the laser cannons there, but I love the way Koenig figured out how to stop this by playing their game against them. And I thought that was a really good story point because they were literally destroying Alpha in the process. Which, by the way, Alpha in the first season was destroyed a couple times. And I tell you, that must be some strong walls and awesome computers. And
Yeah.
Do you remember Space Brain with the foam?
Don't remember that one.
Basically, they come across this. It's an entity that's a mega-sized life form. It's a one-cell thing, and of course, it has antibodies and all this other stuff. So the antibodies are foam, and there's a great on the making of the Blu-ray showing them shooting that, and you can hear the director yelling, "Cut the foam! Stop the foam! Stop the foam!" And he finally gets on the set to tell them to turn it off, and you see him do like a backflip because it's suds, and so people are slipping and sliding, and the director takes a dive, and it's hysterical, and they're still rolling. So that's the kind of stuff I like. But
the one thing that it bugged me, it was more humorous, but what is the practical application of the zipper going down the arm?
Good question.
Practical application. I think
You have to go and administer.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be on both sides, though?
well, in practicality, I think it was a look. Design. Yeah. The designer was coming up with it. Rudy.
So you can get to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rudy Greenwich, I think, was the costume designer, and he was big in France and stuff. So, and they call them Moon City outfits. If you read the titles, Moon City outfits or something like that.
They make a big point of saying Moon City uniforms designed by.
Right. Well, that was in his contract. I mean, that they hired him specifically. Sylvia Anders said, "I want these costumes to be memorable. I want people to be, reproducing them and wearing them at Halloween and all that other stuff." So that was her thing. But I don't know if you know, but the original Star Trek series, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, also had zippers, but they only went from here to here. And it was basically to open up this area so you could pull it over your head quicker. And they wore black T-shirts. So to me, it's just an extension of what they did on Star Trek, except I think it would be a little awkward to zip it all the way down. I don't even know if it unlocked at this point, at the wrist.
I'm looking at the picture in your background, and it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it looks like it goes to the sleeve and stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, these are season 2. You can tell because of the jacket and they added those lines across the chest.
Mm-hmm.
Still have the bell bottoms. Um,
Of course.
and the skirts they added with the knee-high boots. The spacesuits, which if you notice on the spacesuits, the helmets never really locked.
No, they didn't.
I think it was CJ mentioned the colors determining the departments. This is first season. Actually, second season, they're wearing badges. And then a color key for the costume people.
Huh.
So,
Great.
but what else? What do you think about this coming back?
I heard a rumor they're doing was it Space 2099?
That
Yeah.
was the last plan, but it's been brought up by who's the guy who directed Superman Returns?
Zack Snyder?
No.
No.
Who?
Bryan Singer?
Bryan Singer was heading up the original, trying to get the funding to back it up and do this show in a feature film. And I think it was 2099 or something like that. But yeah, I could definitely see this on a big screen. Obviously, the story is going to have to be how does it get blown out of orbit, but they're going to have to take it to another level because you got to fill up 2 hours.
I think they could. I think it'd be just as easy to make this a feature film as Star Trek was.
Probably better, with the technology and stuff. All the effects would be CG, so they wouldn't have to spend a lot of money. Maybe a little redesign on the costumes and the props, but not too much, because that's the nostalgia of it. Even when JJ redid the Star Trek, he kind of kept things close to Trek, but still being his own. Who would you cast? Who in today's world would you cast? Your 3 leads.
Oh, man. I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
I don't know, because these characters are so ingrained, Martin Landau and Barbara Bay. I mean, they're just so ingrained in my head. It's hard to kind of see.
Yeah, it's hard to see somebody else in those roles.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you feel that way when you saw Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto and the Australian guy? What's his name?
Carl Urban.
Yeah, in Star Trek.
They did. It was such good casting. They were all 3, I felt like, really spot on casting to play those characters.
Yeah.
So I think my point is, I think we can do it. It's just who has the gravitas to take on, these kind of commanding characters. I feel like Brad Pitt and all that stuff, or
I don't think it could be a name, though. I mean, I think it'd have to be like Star Trek. I mean, those people were relatively early. Yeah, they had done stuff, but they weren't like a household name or stars. I mean, so it was easy for them to kind of like jump into those roles. I think, what was it, Zachary Quinto was the only, because of Heroes. Was the only one, at least in my mind, and I kind of go, oh, I know him. And then Carl Urban was like, oh, yeah, kind of. But
Chris Pine, wasn't he in Princess Diaries?
yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know to make that connection.
Well, they all certainly went on to bigger careers after Star Trek. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're big now, but when it came out, I was just like, it was easy for me to kind of see them as Spock, Kirk, and McCoy, because they weren't a Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp or someone like that.
Okay, so you're okay with them remaking it? You'd love to see newcomers, new actors.
Yeah.
Maybe one famous guest star or something, Alien or whatever.
Who do you think, Lorenzo? Who would you put in the show?
For the Martin Landau role, I would say I honestly would say, what's his name? From Help Me. I can see his face. Do you remember who's the lead in Lost? Not the older guy.
The older guy? Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Matthew Fox? No.
Is that him?
The guy who played Jack?
Yeah, I believe that was him.
That's Matthew Fox.
Yeah.
I could see
So
that.
somebody who's got a career but can take on a role and chew it up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And for Helena, I wouldn't want anybody too glamorous. Not that Barbara Bain wasn't good looking, but I think the fact that she was everybody's lady, so to speak. I got it. One thing about Maya. Maya was big about her look and wardrobe. How often did she transform into her dresses? And you remember the episode where she actually changes into Helena? So Martin Landau has to pick which one is the one.
Yep. And he kisses him.
And he teased both of them. But yeah, so in terms of you wouldn't mind seeing this on the big screen?
No.
I'd love to see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot there you can work with.
Right, because another thing, they talked about bringing back the series. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'd be open to that too.
Yeah, I mean, actually, probably, nowadays with just all the good science fiction that's going on, I could see this more practically as a series than a movie. Not that I wouldn't love to see it as a movie, but, just there's so many stories to be told. And, the moon has to get, they're searching for a new home. So that's obviously a long story to be told.
Right, and as long as the producers stick to story and character, yeah, I would love to see a series versus a movie.
Yeah.
The movies tend to be more expensive and harder to make, even if you do with unknown people, just because of the politics. But I think a series, and with all the streaming you've got now, there's a lot of markets for all of this stuff. For example, like the Orville. Anybody watching the Orville?
Oh, God, yes, that's great.
I've seen a couple episodes.
It's amazing. To me, it's more Star Trek than Discovery. Oops.
Yeah.
I did a commentary on Discovery Season 1 and a commentary on Season 2. And Season 2 was much better. Season 1, don't bother. You don't
Can you
need
start
season 1 to see Season 2.
without
Which one?
watching one? Can you start
Which one?
Season 2 for Discovery?
Season 2 is already on Blu-ray and DVD. Season 3 was shot but hasn't aired yet. And if you go on YouTube, you'll see the latest is all the Discovery sets were destroyed in Canada, so they have nothing to go back to. And in process of putting together Season 3, they realized they didn't have stuff and whatever. They couldn't kind of make it work story-wise, and they have nowhere to reshoot because the sets are gone. So I'm curious to see how much of Season 3 actually gets out there.
What happened to the sets?
CBS Access and CBS in general is, how do I say this gently, destroying the Star Trek franchise. And Lower Decks, if you go online, has gotten poor reviews. It's the animated version of Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's kind of South Park meets Family Guy, but it's horrible. I saw one episode. Discovery, it's not Trek. Picard is very, very good.
We like
Yeah,
Picard.
I love Picard.
I like.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
I just love the character. How it was. I thought the characters in Picard were all really solid.
Absolutely. And the reunion of Riker and Troy in that one episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was great. That was great. It was
That was like,
but it was real,
Yeah.
I mean, because nobody's life is perfect. It was nice. It was something that as I got older, I had a problem with Star Trek, that it seemed a little too polished, which I think is one reason I liked Space 1999, is that realism. But in Picard, it started to feel like, I was like, wow, they really got real.
yes.
And you know.
Even the new characters were flawed and imperfect, and And part of that whole, we need to get together and work on this. And
Oh my God, what's her name? The
Jerry Ryan,
Yeah.
7
Jerry Ryan.
fine, but
Oh yeah.
the captain who got in trouble with Picard. That woman. That 7 of 9 hooks up with at the end. You see them holding hands.
You're talking about the lady, the one he picked up in Vasquez Rocks? Yeah. Did you notice, by the way, they shot that at Vasquez Rocks, where the original series?
I love that.
Yeah.
It was funny. I mean, as soon as it came out, I'm like, Vasquez! Vasquez Rocks. There's a Gorn behind her. Anyway, I'm nerding out again. But yeah, I think Space 1999 has the potential to be a Picard if it's put in the right hands.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thing. Is that I would like to see it if it's done right.
Yes.
Right.
It would kind of hurt if it was just really done wrong.
Like Fred Freiberger destroyed literally Star Trek Season 3 and Space 1999 Year 2. As Alex Kurtzman, who's doing Discovery and Lower Decks right now, they're not focusing on story and character. And you can have the best special effects in the world and whatever. You know, I got tired of seeing lens flares on Discovery. Every time a camera turned around, it's like there's a lens flare. What is there, a sun in every scene? They have suns in the room?
That's a J.J. Abrams thing. He loves putting those in.
Yeah, but well, if there's a purpose for them, and I get the whole look and style thing, but when you're looking, I don't know if you ever looked at somebody you're talking to with a light behind them and you can't see them. I need to see the people to see if they're, what they're emoting. There was none of that in Picard. None of that. So
Have you guys
we're locked down.
Expanse?
The what?
I haven't seen The Expanse yet.
Expanse.
Oh, we've been getting into that. We're on the 2nd season.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Space 1999, just in it's good storytelling based in realism.
But it's not pretty. There's
Yeah.
with the one scene was it the first episode? There's like rats in the ship.
Yeah.
Because these are like old ships that have been put together like 1,000 times, and it's that it's not sparkling. It's not that Star Trek sparkling. Everything.
Yeah.
You can feel the grind.
More kind of like Firefly. Like you felt that way about.
Yeah.
I was just going to say Firefly. I love Firefly.
Yeah, I do too.
It's that feel. It's that like you're.
Did you like Serenity, the movie?
Yeah.
I actually saw Serenity before I watched the series.
Really?
Yeah, and I loved Serenity, so that's why I went back and watched.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Did you guys see Farscape? Ever see Farscape?
Oh, yeah.
We love. In fact, I was just thinking. I was just going to ask if you want to rewatch that again.
Yeah,
I love Farscape.
Yeah, I love
Yes.
it.
Lorenzo.
I just love the Brian Henson's work on that.
What was that?
Brian
no.
Henson's work
On Farscape.
on Farscape.
Oh, yes. There's
I was going to bring up something else about Space 1999. Did you see the message from Moonbase Alpha, the short that was shot for?
You mean for done by Xenia Morton? Yes. Oh, yeah.
I just watched that today. I didn't know it existed. And I guess it was shot for the anniversary. The actual date, September 13th, 1999.
1999.
They shot her just basically signing off from Moonbase Alpha. And I got totally touched by it. Like, she was actually crying towards the end of it. And I'm like, oh, I'm tearing up.
Yeah, I believe in 2018 she passed away too, Xenia. So.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. I loved her. Her and Paul, that relationship was amazing. I said Paul, Prentice Hancock, the actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite actors on Space 1999 we haven't talked about is the character Alan Carter.
Yes.
Nick Tate.
My favorite.
I
Yes.
loved
No, wait.
He has been on everything. I just saw him on an old Matlock. He had his own show called Open House, which I actually worked on over at Paramount. He was in Star Trek The Next Generation. I don't know if you guys know that.
Oh.
Do you remember the episode? It's called The Final Mission. It's the last episode of Will Wheaton, He crashes with Picard.
Uh-huh.
And he's the pilot of that ship that crashes. That's Nick Tate. So,
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to go back and find that.
Yeah.
yeah, he's a really good actor. He's a nice guy, too.
Oh.
And Alan was my favorite on Space 1899.
Yeah, I liked him, too. He's kind of gritty, and he always kind of challenged everything.
He's the one that always gets sent out to do the dirty work.
Yeah.
And he always comes back.
He's the only one who flies an Eagle and doesn't crash it.
That's true.
Even Koenig has flown him twice and crashed it. So, I don't want to fly.
He's always
Commander.
getting knocked out or getting shot at.
Now,
Yeah.
now, Redetha, you realize in the second season he spent more time out of his tunic than in it. Remember Metamorph? He's running around with no shirt.
Yep.
So I think that was another attempt to, get the girls. Did it work, CJ?
I guess. I don't remember that, but I remember when I was growing up, I had a crush on him, so I'm probably,
So, of all the characters, who's your favorite? Let's do the rounds. One person.
Maya.
Maya, okay. Jeff?
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, it's like
Maya? Really?
yeah, it's like the shapeshifter.
CJ?
I thought it was really cool when I was growing up.
I know, I like to say Maya, but I'm still in the first season, so right now it would be Alan.
For me, it will always be John Koenig, Martin Landau. In
Yeah.
both seasons, he was the rock that held that show together.
Yeah.
Even Helena got a little flirty in the second season, but Martin was always the rock to the show. And that always worked for me in terms of the characters. Even when the ones where he went crazy or was on drugs or possessed or whatever, you could tell he was having fun. And if you haven't seen that Another Time, Another Place, there's that episode where everybody's playing a dual role. It's really nice. I think any actor that gets that chance to play either an opposite or an opposed, what do you call that? When it's the same character but different?
Like an alter ego.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and you get to twist it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch Doctor Who, but there's a Matt Smith episode where he actually does that, a good and a bad, taking Cybermen. And I tell you, those kind of performances are they blow me away. When you can turn it on and turn it off just like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so any other thoughts or comments on the show?
I'm really surprised that it hasn't come back. Because when I was watching it and I'm remembering it, and I remembered, it was only on for a couple seasons, but it was such a strong series that when Redetha had brought it up, I was like, oh my God, it all comes flooding back. And I was like, I remember this, I remember this, I remember this. And when I was watching it, I was like, why hasn't someone brought this back?
I know, they did it with Battlestar Galactica, and Star Trek always comes, seems to come back in one way or another. And this was just as solid, if not more.
Right, and Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, Ron Moore took that over, and he's from Star Trek The Next Generation, and he not only wrote some of the best episodes of Next Gen, but won Emmys for his writing. And when he took over the concept, part of the reason too is it's a Gary Sylvia Anderson production, and both of them have passed. So right now it's the estate of the family, so it's a legal issue, but I don't think it's that big of a legal issue that they could pay and get the rights and all that stuff. But the key for me, like you just said, is you get Ronald Moore, who focuses on character and story, where Battlestar Galactica, the original, was fun, and I loved it. I loved the look. I love people call it camp, but it was, I loved it. It was character-driven. It was story-driven. Baltar, great villain, all that kind of stuff. But what they did is they modernized it and made it real, Ron Moore did, and grittier, and the characters bled, and, the Cylons weren't robots anymore. They were androids and numbered. So if you do that with Space 1999, but don't go too far, I think it would work.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about the gadgets and special effects. The stun gun shouldn't be too different from this, because this is the icon. I'm sure you can modernize it. I always wondered why there's 4 barrels. I mean, really? Isn't that
It looks cool.
It does. It looks great, but in terms of practicality, you know what? A red beam, a yellow beam, a green beam, and a blue beam? Really? What happens if one of them breaks? Does it not work anymore? And I don't think you can beat this, the comm lock.
It's
There's a
like
door opening. You know, everything's pressure sealed on the moon because obviously there's no atmosphere. So to pressure close and lock the door, and then they're ID'd. Certain areas you can go, certain areas you can't. Loved it. So whatever. And then I don't know. Did you guys notice my shirt?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
It is nice.
I love it.
You can see just the space 1999. Oh, Redetha, since you brought it up, I do want to show you this. You ready for this? This was one of the most exciting moments of my life. Recognize this? This guy here?
Yes.
I don't know if you can see what he wrote.
That's so funny because that's almost what he wrote on mine. Mine's so similar.
Oh, ooh, cool. It's the same photo. No, it's a different photo. Okay.
It's close though. It's like the same outfit. Oh, I love it.
That's me and Commander Koenig.
Wow.
How about...
I have a friend of mine who worked with him over at the Tiffany Theater when he was I forgot what theater he was artistic directing. Right.
Again, can you see that?
Yeah. I can't see what it says, but
Yeah, I don't know how close I can get.
dear Lorenzo, best.
Yeah. And then...
Oh, where did you take photos with them?
This is at, I did a couple of these shows. It's called the Hollywood Autograph Show. And I do a lot of press with them. So I spent a lot of time with a bunch of people behind the scenes. And I literally, I don't know if you can see both of them, signed it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And then if you ever go to Comic-Con, anyone going to Comic-Con?
Not this year.
Not this year.
You know who she is?
No.
Oh,
Wait, it looks like Margot Kidder, no?
That's Margot Kidder.
oh.
Really?
I don't know why. It's not Space 1999, but just thought I'd show you.
It's really cool. Oh.
Anyway, cool. Any other closing thoughts? And we'll call the first talk about in the can, so to speak.
Hopefully we can generate some interest in
Yeah,
getting
no, it's like I said, it's like something I thought about sparingly over the years, but when Redetha brought it up, I was like, oh my God, I was like, I remember really, really loving that show.
Yeah.
I did too. And you know what really stuck in my mind was just the Eagles. Like they were just they were as iconic to me as the Enterprise to Star Trek.
I totally agree. I think it's one of the coolest ships out there.
It is, and how the pods. It was.
This separates. That separates the head.
Yes.
Yeah.
The modules.
Always stuck in my mind.
Right, but you know what Brian Johnson, the actual creator, the designer of this, said? It's not a practical ship. This would never. It would work good on the moon, but it could never land in any planet with an atmosphere. It's
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
so, but it works for the show.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
Just
like it.
leave it there.
He's going for the insect, he said. Insect look.
It definitely has the insect one.
I
Yep.
think he nailed it.
Yep.
Well, guys, this was great fun. I want to do more of these in terms of different shows, different topics, different subjects. And you guys are welcome back if you have a particular liking. Any closing comments before we sign off?
Thank you. This has been fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, you
And
guys are
there's other
great.
people out there that love it.
It's been wonderful.
You know, one quick thing. You mentioned, Jeff, talking to Redetha, and then you're watching the episodes. What about what you're remembering makes you like it that much more? Because you said it twice now, at least twice.
It's it's the fun factor, yes, but I think it's just the fact that they were solid what I'm latching on to rewatching them right now is that it's solid storytelling.
Very solid.
It's very solid storytelling. It's not flash and trash. There's actually a story that sort of justifies everything that's going on.
Right, and they're driven by the character.
Yeah, the characters, you like all the characters.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk to you later when you get through season 2. I want your feedback on there.
Yeah.
But there's a reason it was canceled.
Probably, yeah.
And there's a reason it came back as a second season, because the first season was very strong. So.
And there's a reason we still remember it and still like it.
Right. And I love Maya. I would love to have Maya in the first season, but without all the monster of the week kind of stuff. And Tony Anhalt, he was a good ad. I liked his character.
I loved him, and I loved their interaction together.
Tony
Maya.
Redetha, yeah. Yeah, there's certain elements that were good, but as far as the scripts and the story, Bringers of Wonder, that's the 2-part with the monster with the squiggly things.
Yeah.
Remember the lighting eyeball and all that? And I'm like, how do these things get through the doorway, let alone the hallways? But whatever. Okay, thank you so much, guys. CJ, Jeff, Redetha. This was so much. This is the very first episode of Talk About, in this case, Space 1999. Where is it? It's over there. I don't know. Thanks, you guys, for watching. If you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button. The Geek Authority has 2 other shows, if you're not, actually 3 other shows. Unboxing the Geek Authority, where I actually open up new product that is either sent to me or I ordered. I see it for the first time. You see it for the first time. There's the actual Geek Authority show, where I do interviewing with actors, producers, writers, various people in conventioning, vendors, and so on and so forth. And the other show, where I'm kind of proud of, where I look into my sock drawer or in between my pillowcases, it's called The Geek Authority's Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles, where I take some of the collectibles that I've been collecting since I was a little years old and show you what's in my closets and stuff. So, again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Lorenzo.
Fun.
Thank you,
No
guys.
problem. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.